There's been a
Yeah,
hubbub in the community about a pedal called the Digitech Bad Monkey.
I saw it. I didn't watch the video about it. I've seen some other stuff around it. So I guess
Right?
it's a great pedal and nobody knew about it. Is it?
Yeah, the moral of the video is use the gear you have. Don't buy a $10,000 clone off reverb or chase trends. Just
Mm,
use what you have and try to find stuff because the Bad Monkey's been around forever. Nobody cared about it.
mm,
Caused a lot of drama, but as somebody coming from Brazil like you, where at that time I was watching a thing, I did some research. You were talking about black market Ibanez's and all this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like when you hear that, it really puts into perspective people getting so antsy about gear. I mean, we need serviceable gear, but we should really be maybe playing more.
Totally. That's what I normally I say like whatever live YouTube lives and stuff like that. It's like it's not about the gear because it's like you're teaching something which is for me special, let's say harmony or something cool about the sound of interval or a melody or a pattern or something, and then what strings are you using or what's the wood of is the mahogany, Brazilian mahogany from, it's like, man, it's not about this, I get it. And then I have lots of guitars at home. I love it, uh, pedals, the whole thing, but it's about your knowledge, your playing, how you play, how you play, so the sound is, I mean, this is a common place, the sound is in your hands, you know um, so it's about practicing, getting the best tone you can from the gear you have. That's totally true. And then if you have the money, if you can spend buying some, trying different things, yes. But in the end of the day, man, if you listen to the great albums, the great players, yeah, they have like, it's one guitar, right? You have to find that guitar. Sometimes
Mhm.
you need to buy few guitars. You have to go through few guitars in your life to find out, I love, that's my guitar, my main guitar. Maybe like the amp you like, maybe it's a Marshall style, maybe it's a Boogie style, maybe it's a Bogner, maybe it's a digital thing. Like I'm using the Quad Cortex. I love Quad Cortex, or a great plugin to play at home. And that's it, man. A tube screamer. It's like,
Yeah.
like the tube screamer is always there. Everybody use the tube screamer. I mean, you can try the distortion, Boss distortion. But if you go back to my early days, you know, um, so yeah, I was a middle class family, so I cannot, I was not, like Brazil has so many people, poor people that wouldn't have the access to even to have food, right? So me having a guitar at home is a privilege, right? First of all, but I didn't have the chance to have Fenders, Gibsons, Jacksons, etc. For my guitar, from the my guitar heroes, the guitars they were using. So there was this brand in Brazil, Giannini, it's like Italian name, Giannini. And then my first acoustic guitar, so I started playing, was an acoustic guitar, nylon classical guitar. I was there already. It was from my family, you know. My aunt had that guitar, so we brought it home. We started having lessons. Was a Di Giorgio, which is another Italian family. So as in New York, some Italians went to New York and started doing like the hollow body guitars, right? And then violins and cellos and that Italian tradition. In Brazil, I think they went there and then they thought, well, we need to build classical guitars because that's the tradition, the European, um, Portuguese, Spanish, that tradition that went to South America, right? So there was like three main families: Giannini, Di Giorgio, and Del Vecchio. So all Italian families building great classical guitars, great stuff. I'm talking about the 80s, okay? So, but those companies are, I don't know, 100 years old, right? at some point they decided to do electric guitar in the 80s because it was, was a thing. So they started making guitars because we didn't have imports in Brazil due to the political situation there. There was no imports, so we couldn't have any international brand like Gibson's, Fenders, and Jackson's, Ibanez. And then my father bought my first electric guitar, which was a Giannini, from one of those classical guitar companies that started making. I think Giannini was the only one that kind of switched to electric guitars, and it was decent. It was Japanese hardware, because back in the days the Japanese guitars and hardware were was the cheap place, right? China nowadays, right? It was cheaper to have imports from Japan for the hardware, and then Brazilian wood, which is a great wood. Now it's illegal. Brazilian mahogany. So actually the guitar is not that bad. If you think in the comparing what we have today. So it was a black SG. It was I remember going to the store. And there was this kind of a wine color, kind of a reddish, kind of a Les Paul, Giannini as well, and never Gibson. You would find Gibsons or those brands only through black market. It was too expensive, and I was just a beginner, so no way, But also decent guitar, being fans of it, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, not more Sabbath than AC/DC, I would say, Maiden. So the guy had I like the black color, and then I bought the SG, and yeah. And then the thing was you would buy that guitar, and if somebody, if you're a friend with a bit more money that would go to Florida or something like that, have a vacation in the US, could bring a pickup, so you could switch and have something a bit better, DiMarzio, Seymour Duncan, stuff like that. So that was the dream, to have a Giannini guitar with an American pickup. That was it. Yeah, and then I had so that my mother bought. I remember going with my mother to that store, and then she bought that guitar as a present. Probably birthday, Christmas, and the next 2 years presents all to combine, or something like that. I'm exaggerating a bit, but something like that. And then it's but I need an amp. And she didn't know. She didn't think about it. She didn't know, what? Because we're classical guitar, you don't need extra stuff. No, I need an amp, cable, and a pedal. And that was a surprise. So I had to wait. I mean, the next year, or the next Christmas or something like that, to have my first amp. So I don't remember, but maybe for 6 months or a year, I was playing my guitar using the stereo. The sound system. Guys, back in the days, you had a sound system. The vinyl, the tapes,
the big
and
stacks.
then you have you would have a mic input. I don't know, for karaoke or something.
Yep.
So I would plug the guitar there. It would sound horrible, but that was it. It's the only way to amplify the sound of the guitar sound, right? So that was my beginning. So then I got that amp, a Giannini amp, again, because that was the only brand. Kind of a copy of a Roland Cube.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that square, heavy as hell, super heavy. It's and then there was no overdrive in that amp. It was clean. So I was and now what? So I was playing with the clean tone, and then so I have some cousins that are half Americans, right? And I kind of in the end, it was one of the reasons that I started going to LA. So I have part of my family half Americans, because the sister of my father used to work in the American Embassy in Rio. So she got married with a vet that used to work in the embassy, etc. So one of my cousins, he brought a Super Overdrive, Boss Super Overdrive, the yellow one, right? Pedal. Do you have
one
it?
right there.